What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I am Iron Man.
You are a toy!
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Server Anakin! I have the high ground!
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Welcome back to the Big Movie Bois podcast, the only podcast that left to get cigarettes when you were 7 years old and never came back. I'm your host, Gary Baumann. With me, as always, is the amazing Ben Stitch.
What's good out there?
And Bellagio Bob Liebel.
How's everybody doing? I'm still hungover from Black Wednesday.
And joining us this week, a very special guest, one of the biggest movie boys out there, Gary Baumann.
And doubling down as we speak.
There we go.
Nice.
We got a bunch to talk about this week, including a couple of news items that came up in the last week or so. We've got a father-themed Big Movie Bois challenge and a review of Ocean's 11. But first, Mr. Baumann, if I may call you that.
Or Dad.
How does it feel to be on this side of the podcast?
Well, I'd like to congratulate the three of you for finally adding a guest who lends credibility to this podcast. But yeah,
actually listens to it too.
Like I said, I'm doubling down. This is a listener who actually watches movies. But it feels good. It feels good to be on this side for once. You know, I'd like to get back on the listening side. There's more surprises happening on that side, but it's all good.
All right. Well, let's see what kind of expertise you can bring to the table with our first couple news topics here. I think a movie that you've been dying to see for a long time now is the Clifford the Big Red Dog live-action movie. Is this going to crack your top 10 when it comes out?
Dying to see it since I saw the trailer 45 seconds ago, so I'm not sure if it's quite at the top 10 yet, but, you know, it's got potential.
What do you boys think? Are you excited? Finally, the live-action movie we've all been begging for?
I'm afraid, actually. I'm more scared than excited because that dog is freaky looking. This can't be like an actual, like, not big budget, but this can't be like this isn't a theatrical release, right? This is straight to streaming, straight to DVD, right? I mean, who wants to see this movie? I don't know who this is for.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is straight to VHS in 2021, honestly. That's like the caliber we're looking at.
Is Clifford still like a relevant book that like kids read? Like, because that's what it was, right? The children's book. I feel like I remember
it was a book and a TV show.
Oh, okay.
Cartoon, I think.
But like, I never really was into it. Like, is this? Yeah, are we the audience? Like people who grew up watching it or reading it potentially, or is it like aimed for kids now?
I could not tell you. I think they just the way every movie gets greenlit these days is that's something I've heard of before. Someone will probably go see it if we make a movie out of it. But even then, I don't know that Clifford the Big Red Dog is the IP that whatever executive greenlit it thinks it is.
The dog's creepy though. It looks like the dog's just covered in like blood or something. Like it doesn't look like a big red dog. It looks like a dog that just, killed a rabbit and smeared the blood over its body.
I also don't like that it looks like a puppy that they just scaled up. Like
it does look like a puppy, yeah.
I always thought the Clifford was like an adult dog. And I imagine it only has a lifespan of maybe 18 months. I mean, big dogs typically don't last that long, but...
Clifford is 10 feet tall and weighs 2 tons, I'm pretty sure, so...
I do remember that book.
Yeah, this was never anything I ever got into. If you remember it, you were on your own, I think.
Not one you read to me?
I don't think that was one I read to you.
Well, I do remember you reading me tons of Jeopardy questions back in the day, so that's how we'll transition into the next bit of news. Ken Jennings named the first interim host of Jeopardy following the untimely loss of Alex Trebek. Not that big of a shock. They did not say that they're moving forward with any permanent host, but they are going to run through a couple interim hosts before they make that decision. I think Ken Jennings is probably the no-brainer pick here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when it first happened, and like you see, like I even saw like betting odds for who would take over, and like he was I think number one, and then like Jimmy Kimmel was on that list, people like that. But it makes sense to do a trial run with people because it's such a famous role, and it potentially could be like the next 30 years of Jeopardy. Then, so you want to get it right. But so I definitely think Ken Jennings. I don't even watch Jeopardy enough. I probably watch it like 2 times a month, I feel like. So I'm not gonna be too worried on if Ken Jennings is great or not, but it seems like the right pick, at least to have him be the first interim host.
I watch it pretty not regularly. I probably catch one episode a week, I'd say. You know, if it's on and I'm just hanging out and I see Jeopardy, like, you know, I'll put it on. And I think it is true. He is a no-brainer pick just because of a million different reasons you can name. But the thing that I'm concerned about is, like, his, like, likability. I don't know if that's, like, the right word to describe it. I feel like Alex Trebek was such a, like, I don't know, just like he like invited you in, like when you're sitting on your couch, it felt like Alex Trebek was talking directly to you. I feel like he had such like a warm, comforting voice, and like he was such a cool guy. I feel like Ken Jennings doesn't have that because he, at least for me, he always seemed a little creepy. So like I think it'll be interesting to see how he does it. He's going to come off as creepy, I think, and I think that'll be the problem with it. And you know, who knows how long he'll be the interim host for until they try somebody else. Who knows? He might just fucking take it and be perfect right from the go, and he might just become the permanent host. But I envision him being creepy. That's what I see.
Bob, you saying the creepy thing makes me think of Family Feud back in the day, where was it Richard Dawson just kissing the contestants right on the lips? I want Ken Jennings to do that.
That guy should be in jail.
Yeah, my take on Ken Jennings is that you definitely need a host who is intelligent enough to come off like he knows the questions, because he's reading the questions.
Right.
And Alex Trebek was excellent at doing that. I'm not saying that Alex Trebek, was that intelligent and knew all these things, but he certainly came off in that. I think, like Bob said, he's got a creepy factor in the fact that he probably knows all of the questions.
Right. Yeah. Like he might almost come off cocky too, be like, "Oh, you don't know this?" Like because he's the fucking smartest person in the world, apparently.
Do we have any other picks for who we want to see as an interim host?
Reading Rainbow guy is the other.
LeVar
Ben
Burton.
I saw that same betting sheet that you saw, Ben. I saw that as well. It was Ken Jennings as one. It had LeVar Burton as two. I think he'd be good. I could see him doing it. He might come off the similar warmth and welcoming feel that Alex Trebek had. I think LeVar Burton would give that off as well, and I think he could do the same thing. Like your dad just said that, like, Alex Trebek doesn't know every single answer. Like, I mean, he comes off as a very smart guy. Will LeVar Burton know every single answer? Probably not, but I think he'll also come off the same way, where he's believable and intelligent. And I don't know. I would rather see him than Ken Jennings, but
I think Will Ferrell doing Alex Trebek is a shoo-in.
That would be amazing. We'll probably get a cameo at some point, I think.
I would think so. That would be awesome if that happened.
You got any other picks, Ben?
No, I want to pull up that list again because I see like the basic like hosts you see like Steve Harvey. I'm like, I don't think he would ever do that. He's too goofy. You need someone who like Gary was saying, you need someone who seems like they know the answers, even though they might not necessarily know all the answers. But yeah, that's why I think Ken Jennings is like a good start, just because he is super smart and you can actually believe that he has the intelligence there. But I don't know enough about like LeVar Burton. What's he in? Am I dumb?
Reading Rainbow.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. See, but I'd be interested.
Roots.
I think I'll watch like anytime it's a new one. I think I'll try to watch and see how they actually do.
I'm gonna throw my vote out there for Matthew Gray Gubler. He has got an eidetic memory in Criminal Minds, and therefore probably does know all the answers.
Hey, I'm dumb enough to believe that guy is playing himself in Criminal Minds. So for all I know, he is that smart. So
my last pick, because it's ABC, right? So my last one would be like Michael Strahan. Isn't he on ABC?
No,
you can see him doing something. He's on Fox? No, but
I thought he's on
Good Morning America. That's on
no,
ABC.
Michael and Kelly or whatever.
Oh, okay. Then
it used to be Regis and Kelly.
Oh,
now Michael Strahan is Regis Philbin. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, and you need somebody who's able to pronounce the tough words.
Yeah, he does have the lisp.
The gap in the teeth might affect his pronunciation.
All right, and then I don't know what your guys' Christmas plans were. I'm sure COVID ruined them, but HBO is trying to make them better again because Wonder Woman 1984 is coming to theaters as well as HBO Max on Christmas Day. And they're not doing the Disney Plus bullshit. You're not paying another $30 on top of your subscription. It's just going to be there with your subscription already. I think that's pretty sweet. It was a movie that the trailers interested me, at least. So the fact that it's going to be free on Gary's credit card, I'm down.
Yeah, free is a relative term in this case.
No, Sue, I haven't seen the original Wonder Woman. I know it's very good. I know a lot of people that have seen it. I want to watch that, and then I believe I'm going to watch this Wonder Woman when it comes out as well. Because I know the first one's good. I assume this is also going to be good, at least from the trailer and everything I saw. It looked entertaining, so I'd say I'm actually pretty excited for it. I'm excited to watch the first one and then this one when it comes out. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, I didn't watch the first one either, unless the first one was Gal Gadot just singing Imagine. Then I did see that one. But other than that, I haven't seen it. And I saw some headline, news article saying, like, can Gal Gadot save movie theaters? I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's kind of heavy to put that all on her. But the fact that it's going to HBO Max too feels like it's not going to be helpful for movie theaters. And I know my parents liked the first one, and I know they normally would go to movie theaters, but they're just going to pop this one on HBO Max probably on Christmas. So I don't think Gal Gadot saves movie theaters, but I think HBO Max doing that will get a ton more people to watch their movie.
Well, she did already cure coronavirus with that Imagine viral video, so I wouldn't be surprised if she saved movie theaters on top of it. But I mean, I like the first one enough. I think it's maybe the only DC movie that I would rank above any MCU movie, and that's only beating out like Thor 2 and Hulk. It's still not quite at Marvel tier, but it's better than a couple of the Marvel movies, which is high enough praise, I think. And like I said, the trailers for this one looked pretty sweet, so I'm definitely going to check it out, if not Christmas Day, then shortly after. Did you see the first one?
I did. I did see the first one. I thought, just as Jeremy said, it was for the DC world. It was a pretty good movie. I'm definitely not opposed to watching this one.
All right. Well, now we got our Christmas plans.
Who else is in Wonder Woman besides Gal Gadot?
Chris Pine.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's a great
I knew it was one of the
actor.
Chris's. I just didn't know which one it was.
Robin Wright.
Oh, she is too? Okay.
The MCU got all the real Chris's, so the DC got the store brand Chris.
Gotcha, okay.
Chris Pine's a good actor.
He's funny in Horrible Bosses too. That's like the only thing I've seen, because I never watched like the Star Trek ones.
Yeah, the first Wonder Woman movie might be like the only movie I've seen him in. And he was good enough in that. Don't know how he survived from World War I or whenever that movie was until 1984 and looks exactly the same. That's the biggest question I have going into this movie, but I don't know. We will see. In the meantime, though, let's get back to yet another Big Movie Bois Presents Who is the Biggest Movie Boi challenge. And if you couldn't tell, for the first week of December, we're doing a Father's Day themed episode. Very on point here. The way this challenge is going to work is that I had my father, you each had your fathers, come up with what they consider the top 10 best movies of all time, which Gary then so generously put together for us. So there are potentially 30 different movies on this list, although I imagine there's probably some overlap. What we're going to do is we're all going to take turns. We're going to try to guess what movies are on this list. We can either focus in on what we think our own fathers put on there, or we can just guess more broadly. If the movie we guess is on the list, we get a point. If it's on the list multiple times, meaning more than one of our fathers put it on their list, we get 2 or 3 points, however many people put it on the list. Do we all understand the rules, boys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Bob is going to guess first. I'll guess second. Ben's going to guess third. We're going to do 10 rounds of guessing.
Am I keeping track?
And you're going to keep track of the score over there. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. I'm interested to hear what these lists look like when we're all said and done. I have no idea what to expect going into this. I really have no idea what either of your fathers might have put on their lists.
Yeah, you and me both, because I almost ruined Thanksgiving asking my father to make a list of his 10 favorite movies. The stress and anxiety that this produced in my house. He literally yelled to my mother, Colleen. He goes, Colleen, I don't know 10 movies. I can't do this. So going into that, let's think that my father literally said he did not know 10 movies. So it'll be pretty interesting. I do know one, though. This is one movie that I know is on the list. If it's not on the list, there's going to be a lot of fucking problems. So I'm gonna zero in on my dad's pick. I'm gonna go with it. This is like the only movie that my dad knows. Con Air.
And that's the number one movie
Okay,
on Keith's list. So, Bob, congratulations. You got a point.
I don't think you guys understand how important the movie Con Air is in my house. My dad probably sees on television or a streaming service 1 to 2 movies a year. In theaters, he probably sees one movie every 4 to 5 years. So Con Air, he's seen like 200 times. Like, my dad's like, I got to watch a movie, put on Con Air.
Every time Bob watches Space Jam, Keith watches Con Air 3 times.
Have any of you seen Con Air?
I have it
Never.
on DVD.
It's not the best though.
No.
Like, is that your number one movie in the world, Con Air?
I will say that Con Air did not make my list.
Okay.
I will say for an action movie, as long as, you're just looking to be entertained, not a bad movie.
Prime Nick Cage being Nick Cage though.
Nick Cage with a horrible Southern accent.
Oh, it's so fake.
But he is a badass, so we're going to give it to him. And yeah.
Con Air.
All right, well, Bob took my first guess, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to pivot here. I'm going to go with The Godfather.
The number one movie of all time. That was on my list, so we're going to give Jeremy a point.
Ooh, only one.
No one else's?
No one else's.
And previous listeners will know that is my deathbed movie.
Yeah.
Give Bob a point for that.
Maybe I should have went second, because that's definitely what I was going to guess next.
After this weekend, I should have put it on, man. I wasn't feeling too hot.
That's great.
All right, Ben.
Yeah, my first guess, I think I'm going to lean towards guessing another Gary movie here, and I'm going to go with one that we've watched on the pod, and that's Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is on the list, and yes, it is on my list.
Cool. There we go.
Well done, boys. You're all one for one.
Gary is good to guess for because he actually likes good movies. Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to even think about my dad. My dad doesn't watch, he watches a ton of movies, but I feel like they're just random movies. Like, he'll just watch it if it's on like FX. I'm not really sure what to even guess for him. If it was Seinfeld episodes, I think I could do it, but
I'm sorry, Bob. When all is said and done, I'll throw out a little trivia for the movies that happen to be on these 3 lists. So,
ooh, I'm excited for that. I'm going to keep guessing your movies though, because I think you're the easiest to guess for because you actually know good movies. I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction.
I had to double check my list. Pulp Fiction is not.
Was it the 11th? It was the 11th one.
Actually, it wasn't. I have an extra 7 that don't count in the top 10, and unfortunately, just based on my criteria, Pulp Fiction did not make that list either.
All right. Well,
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. Believe me.
All right.
All right.
You saved a future guess for me there, Bob. I'm going to just double down. Godfather Part 2.
Well, that's the second best movie of all time. So, Jeremy, well
guess
done.
that shit.
I should have guessed that.
Well done, Jeremy, with 2 points.
Should we just guess every gangster movie ever? Is that what's on your list?
You do what you got to do. Ben, okay. I believe it's on you.
I am up. I'm going to go for a guess here with Bob's dad. And because he's a big poker guy. I'm going to go with what I think is one of the best poker movies of all time and go with Rounders.
I agree with Ben that Rounders is one of the best poker movies of all time. However, that's a big no can do on the.
There's no way my dad's ever seen that movie. He doesn't even know what that is. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna go on the Keith. I'm on the Keith train again. I'm gonna go with A Star Is Born because I know that is the last movie he saw in theaters.
And A Star Is Born did not make the list.
What a scumbag!
All right. Do I just stick with the top movies of all time? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a Shawshank.
This is a very good guess. And I think the reason it's not on my list, and it obviously is not on the other 2 lists as well, is because it's on every time you flip the channel. And I think the fact that I've seen it 172 times dilutes its wonderfulness. So unfortunately, Shawshank did not make the list.
It's tough. You hate to see it.
Yeah, it certainly deserves a spot at the table, but just didn't happen this time around.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to guessing my dad. And he's, if anything, he does like sport movies. I'm trying to think of like his favorite ones. Maybe he went sentimental. Like the only sentimental movie I don't think he's a big Miracle fan, so I'm not gonna guess that. But I think Field of Dreams might make his list because I watched this probably like 5 times with my dad.
And Field of Dreams did make the Brian list.
Okay, I somewhat know him. Okay.
Okay,
right,
so
Tyler.
just a quick recap at the end of round 3. Ben and Jeremy are tied in first place with 2, and Bob has 1.
All right. Well, I'm about to add another one on. I'm gonna go with. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't paying attention.
Shock.
Did we guess Wolf of Wall Street?
There was no previous Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street, then.
Okay, Wolf of Wall Street is not on anyone's top 10
Nope.
list.
What?
It is in my bonus 7, but you don't get any points for that,
Interesting.
unfortunately.
All right. I'm dying right now.
All right, I'm going to keep the Scorsese train rolling. I'm going to say Departed.
I swear.
Departed, very similar to The Wolf of Wall Street. Did not make the top 10, but made the extra 7. So unfortunately, no points.
Damn.
This is hard. This is so much harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I thought we were going to do it differently where, Jared, that we talked about earlier, where we'd read the movies and then guess who said it, but that, I guess, would be way easier.
Yeah, because my dad would be the ones you've never heard of.
I would agree that would be way, way easier.
All right. I'm going to go. It's my turn, right?
Yep.
My dad's a big Indiana Jones fan, and I don't know how vague I could be by just saying Indiana Jones. So if it's on there and you need me to list like a certain one, I'll go for it.
Yes, you need to be specific considering, there's 147 of them.
Okay. I need to look up which order they came in. Because I think he likes the first one the best, but I don't know the name of it.
Well, the name of the first one...
I don't know if we can do that, Ben, on the spot.
Is that cheating?
Well, I can tell you what the name of the first one is.
Okay, tell me that one.
The first one is not Indiana Jones at all. It's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
And I can name the other 4 if you'd like as well.
No, I got him in front of me now. It's not Crystal Skull. I can guarantee that one. Shit, which one was it? They all look like they're the same. I'll go with Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That is not on the list.
Shit, that could be an opening for someone.
Okay, I'm going to go with Indiana Jones. Is it Temple of Doom? Is that the name of one of them?
That is that is the second installment of that. And that's the one you'd like?
I'm going to go with that one, yeah.
That is not on the list.
Damn it. Oh, I wasted a guess.
Jeremy, round it out. Get it. I hope my dad didn't put Indiana Jones then.
I'm not guessing Indiana Jones. I'm trying to figure out if there's any crossover on these lists at this point. I'm trying to go for multiple points here, but you know what? I'll say it just to piss Bob off. Give me Return of the King, the best trilogy of all time.
Oh, dude, my dad doesn't watch those fucking movies. He can't pay attention that long.
Well, yeah, that didn't make the list. You guys suck, by the way. All right, Ben.
What guess is this? Number 5?
This is your 5th guess, correct?
I'm gonna go with just like a classic. Maybe it's because I told you guys before his criteria that he watches it if it's on TV. And this movie's on TV all the time. I'm just going to take a guess at it and go with Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump is a good guess. It is a wrong guess.
That's not on anybody's list?
That was my next guess, Ben.
It is not on anyone's list. Although,
wow.
like other movies that you have guessed, it deserves it.
Damn it.
All right, I got one. I feel pretty confident about this one.
We are halfway through, and if anybody remembered the recap after round 3, it's the exact same at the end of round 5.
All right. Well, I said it at the end of round 3. Here comes another point for me. I'm going to go with The Dark Knight.
Now, it would probably be on all 3 of your lists, but unfortunately, it did not make the list of any of your
My dad
fathers.
hates those movies.
The hell?
That's why it's tough to guess my dad. He likes none of the same movies I like.
All right. I got 1 or 2 maybe vague guesses that I hope will cross over, and then I might just need to narrow in on what Gary might have written down. So I'm going to go with Saving Private Ryan.
I have to look on my list because that movie sounds familiar, but it did not make the list.
That's big.
Wow, this is tough.
I'm just looking up, like, because I don't even know what to guess. I didn't do any prep like Jeremy did, and I'm sure Bob didn't do any.
No.
Mine would. All right, my next guess. I recently watched it. This is a Gary guess. I don't know if it's actually on his, but my guess is going to be The Silence of the Lambs.
Yes, no, that is not Gary, Keith, or Brian guess. And you
All
guys
right.
are 0 for your last 9 collectively, just so you know.
We
All right, I
we
got
do
one.
not know our fathers.
I got one. I'm gonna go. It just left my head. Son of a bitch! I had it too. What was I just gonna guess? Okay, Toy Story.
No.
Really?
Was that something that you thought might be on your dad's list?
I know Jeremy likes it, so I thought like you guys watched it like father son as kids, and
Absolutely
Well,
not.
I'm sure we did, but it is a cartoon, and I have taste, so.
I don't know.
We watched it as
I
kids,
can't wait.
Bob. When me and my dad were kids, we used to watch Toy Story all the time.
All right,
man.
Jeremy.
I don't even know what to do anymore.
What round is this?
Looks like we're in 7.
Oh dear God.
Christ. All right. Give me Apocalypse Now.
I can understand why you would say that. There have been times where I've said, wow, great movie.
Top 10.
Not a top 10er, though.
All right. I'm going to go back to thinking Indiana Jones and maybe steal a point because I think Gary was hinting that I was on the right track, and I'm going to go with the one we didn't say, The Last Crusade.
Well, if I pushed a hint, I certainly apologize. But that is a Brian pick.
Yes. Jeremy, you should have just went with it.
Yep.
God damn it.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, co-starring Sean Connery.
R.I.P.
All right, I'm gonna go with Avengers Endgame.
Not on anyone's list.
Jesus, I had to throw that out there. Just thought. Maybe
I'm
I'd
just
chance.
guessing Jeremy's list at this point, hoping it's Gary's.
I know Jeremy better than I know my own father. So
Unfortunately, Jeremy didn't send me his list.
Man, I don't even know. I've felt so confident in my last 4 guesses. The fact that I haven't got any of them is making me second guess everything. I'm going to go with The Matrix.
No, The Matrix is not.
I thought it might slide into one of the other 2 lists.
After Ben makes a selection, because you guys have been so pitiful, I'm not going to give you a hint in general. Or specifically, I might try to help you out a little bit. But go ahead, Ben. Let's hear that round 8 pick. My God.
Okay. And I'm in the lead too, right? So this could be big.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just looking up famous movie. Oh, I think my dad's a fan of Jaws. I think someone's a fan of Jaws. Someone's got to be. I'm going to go with Jaws.
I think a lot of people are a fan of Jaws. Unfortunately,
oh my God. He always hits us with that.
no top 10s. Okay. Well, my general hint was going to be exactly what Ben just said. A lot of these movies that you pick are a little bit more recent. We're old. Your dads are old. So some of these movies might be older than you guys are. I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
All right.
I'm not saying that that's the case across the board.
That's been my tactic this whole time, so I don't know if that helps me at all.
Okay, I got one.
All right. So before we start, just to recap, we're 8 rounds in. I believe we're only doing 10. And Ben is holding a 3-2 to 1 lead. Ben, Jeremy,
Yikes.
Bob.
I'll ask you guys right now, Ben, it's your choice because you're in the lead. Do you want to go 12 guesses or cut it at 10?
Well, I want to go 10 since I'm in the lead, but if you guys overrule me, that's fine.
I'll do 12.
Let's do 12.
All right.
All right. So Bob.
I'm up.
Yep.
Fast Times at Ridgemount High.
Bob, I want to congratulate you. You just got yourself 2 points.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Who was the other list? My dad was one of them, I'm assuming.
Your dad was one of them, and Brian was also one of them.
I kind of thought about that one. I didn't know he would have put that in his top 10 though.
Damn, not even
Movies
on
that
my
my
radar.
dad Movies that my dad has acknowledged that exist. Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Con Air. I was saving. I knew that one. I knew he was going to put that one too. I was saving that one. I didn't think it would be on your dad's though too, Ben. So I'm happy about that.
Let's go with an oldie but a goodie. Give me Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back.
Well, I'm just going to shoot you down right now.
Damn it.
However, had any of the Star Wars made the list, that would have been the one. I have my personal philosophy, and this does not obviously go to your father's, gentlemen. I had a problem putting any one of any huge series on my list because, there's 9 Star Wars movies. How do you single one out?
That's a great hint because my next guess was going to be Jurassic Park, so I'm going to steer clear of that one.
Again, this is just me. Anyway, Jeremy, that's a big nothing, so.
I guess my dad might have said it, but I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't even want to guess for him anymore. I thought my rounders guess for his was like smart.
It makes sense, but
I'm gonna think back to my dad. I'm thinking like a movie I just saw that was on. I don't if it was Paramount. No, I don't think it was Paramount or FX. One of those ones, but it's a Thanksgiving movie, and he probably saw it. And I'm thinking
the Longest Yard.
I'm thinking my dad picked this movie because he just recently saw it and didn't know how to think. I'm going to go with a Steve Martin classic, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
You have a logical mind, Mr. Stitch. That was on your father's list. All right. So we are on round 10 of now 12.
I vote to go back to 10 rounds.
Although Bob's right behind you now, Ben, so because he got that 2-point bonus.
Yeah.
I'm now in jeopardy of losing.
I'm going for another. I'm gonna go with the. I know this is the last movie that my dad saw. He's very impressionable. American Sniper.
Again, a well thought out plan. American Sniper is on Keith's
Whoa!
list.
Oh, I thought you just faked me out so hard there. Oh my God! I thought you were about to tell me that it wasn't on there.
No,
You're
American
good at
Sniper
that.
is on the list. Congratulations.
Let's go.
I felt so confident in my list of guesses here. I gotta go strictly for Gary movies just to make up some points. Don't screw me. Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red October. I'm surprised it took you this long. Yes, Hunt for Red October is on my list.
And Keith's?
Just mine.
He doesn't know what that is.
4-3-3 here.
Well, we're gonna wait for Ben, and then I'll give you a
Okay,
recap.
all right. I'm just gonna go with another classic movie. I definitely don't think my dad doesn't like scary movies, so that's not his. I don't know. Maybe Keith watched this when he was like 10 years old and loved it. I'm gonna go with The Shining.
Personally, I think if any one of us would have hit it on the list, it would have been me. I didn't, so no, unfortunately. Not happening. So, a recap with 2 rounds to go.
I'm switching my
Ben with
mentality
4,
here.
Bob with 4, and Jeremy with 3.
Shit, I'm switching my whole game plan here.
Wait, are we on round 11?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 2 more rounds to go, and it's anybody's game.
I am gonna go with Finding Nemo.
Terrible guess.
Yeah, it was a terrible guess.
My dad likes Finding Nemo, I thought.
Apparently not as much as, 10 other movies.
Shit. Okay. God damn it.
All right, Jeremy.
I see so many avenues for these last 2 guesses here. I don't know which one to take. I think it's entering the zeitgeist once again. Hopefully it was on the top of someone's mind. I'm going to go with Die Hard.
I'm surprised it didn't make this list. But it did not make this list.
It's not good for
man.
Me.
I'm totally just thinking about my dad now, and I'm just switching to sports movies. Now I just got to figure out which ones he likes. I know he likes... I'm not gonna say it because if I don't guess it, I don't want you guys to guess it. I'm gonna go with Bad News Bears. I feel like that was on a bunch when I was a kid. I feel like I watched that a bunch.
It probably was, but it didn't make his top 10.
Damn it. This dude, he's probably too emotional. Probably didn't pick comedies.
All right, with one round to go, it is still 4-4-3.
Letting you guys know I got one locked. We're about to have a three-way tie.
All right.
Bob and Ben, with the correct answer, you can knock Jeremy out.
I think I'm going to go with Inception.
Again, probably on all three of your lists. Didn't come
Son of a
close
bitch.
to this one.
All right.
Bob's looking at his top 10 movies right now and just guessing.
This is the Gary movie of all Gary movies. It better not screw me here. Passion of the Christ.
Wait, what?
Passion of the Christ?
I'm like,
You
wow.
watch it
okay.
every year.
Oh, I don't. Actually, I watched the 10 Commandments.
Ooh, I had that wires crossed there.
The good news is neither one of those movies was on my list.
All right. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. So,
Ben can win.
Ben for the win.
Okay. I'm just thinking. I typed in classic sports movies, and now I'm just hoping my dad picked one of these. And popular sports movies came up. He definitely doesn't like any of those ones. The only one that's standing out to me, because baseball ones, I think I would have guessed the only baseball one he would have picked. Maybe For the Love of the Game, just because Kevin Costner plays in the Tigers uniform. But you know what movie I actually watched a bunch, and it made me think I could play for Notre Dame football? I'm going with Rudy. He fucking loved that movie, I think.
He did. He did love that movie.
Oh, no.
For the win, Rudy.
As
on
long
the
as
list.
I'm not I don't even care about winning. As long as I'm not the smallest movie boy, is that how we call it?
Jeremy is the smallest movie boy.
Yeah. And it's funny because my list is sitting here 20 feet, not even 20 feet from him. But
I want to hear the lists.
Well, yeah, we're going to go over the list.
We got to go over those.
Before I go over them individually, I'd just like to tell you the difference in tastes between the three fathers, if we may.
Oh no!
Just from an Academy standpoint, Brian had 1 out of his 10 that was nominated for Best Picture. Keith had 1 out of 10 that won Best Picture. I had 4 winners and 2 nominations.
No surprise there.
Yeah, so that's that.
Before you read through them, I'm curious, was there any overlap whatsoever
Fast
besides...
Times was the only overlap of all.
So there was 28, how's that right? 29 movies?
29 movies possible. You guys got 11.
Ooh, not a good percentage.
All right, we're going to start with Brian, only because Ben kept saying that, he thought he got all the sports movies, and 3 out of the remaining 5 are sports movies.
Wow.
You got different sports, however. There is still a baseball movie out there. That would be The Natural.
Oh, is that the one that was filmed in Buffalo?
That was filmed at War Memorial in Buffalo.
Oh, okay. I feel like he never made me watch that one, so I wouldn't have guessed it.
The other sports movies, I'm surprised you guys didn't get Dodgeball.
Oh my God. He's a Big Movie Boy.
My dad picked Dodgeball?
He did.
I know he watches it with us. I didn't think he liked it as much as we do.
He also picked Caddyshack, the best movie about caddies of all time.
Caddyshack's on my list to guess.
Yeah. Rounding out his list was The Firm. Are you boys familiar with The Firm?
Yeah, I just watched that, and he told me to watch that, so I watched it, but I didn't think it would have made his list.
It was a good movie, Tom Cruise. And also Planet of the Apes. I put a little asterisk next to it, not exactly sure which one, the original with Charlton Heston, which I would have picked, or the really bad remake with, Marky Mark.
It's funny. I don't know which one I would have guessed either. He definitely wouldn't have picked the James Franco one, but he
that's called Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, but he loves the Charlton Heston one, and I think he sneakily likes the Mark Wahlberg one. So we would have had to get him on the phone to clarify.
Well, since he didn't clarify, I would have given you either one of them. Once I got the list, I wasn't going back to ask questions, because my biggest question to Keith would have been why did he put in a 4 episode miniseries in his list of movies.
Oh my God! Was it The Stand?
It was The Stand.
Let me tell you about The Stand in my house.
If Bob would have guessed The Stand, that would have been incredible.
My
4
dad doesn't
points.
know that's not a movie. My dad doesn't know that's not a movie.
Okay.
My dad will tell anybody that'll listen, have you seen The Stand? It's from
What
like
is
the
The
90s.
Stand?
It was a miniseries on like TV from the 90s about a Stephen King book.
Yeah,
My dad fucking loves The Stand.
Okay, The Stand was one of the best books I've ever read. I wasn't a big fan of the miniseries, although I watched every second of it, mostly because, the movie or the 4-episode miniseries isn't as good as the book.
Of course he put a TV show on.
Of course he did, but to his credit, that was the only one. My other question for Keith, he did put the Karate Kid. Again, I'm going to assume the Ralph Macchio and not the
Will Smith's kid?
the Will Smith kid one.
My dad doesn't know who Will Smith or Jaden Smith is.
Okay,
so
perfect.
I think we're safe to assume it's the Ralph Macchio.
All right. His Academy Award winner was Titanic.
Oh my God! How
come
could I not
on.
guess that?
I almost
the
did,
other-
but I was gonna think like none of them said Titanic. That's wild.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
And then rounding out his list, since you guys only got 3 of them, Days of Thunder, another Tom
Don't even-
Cruise movie about race car driving. The Hunger Games.
What? The Hunger Games?
What?
Is he a 16-year-old girl?
I don't know.
He didn't differentiate, so I'm assuming just the first one.
He meant the whole trilogy.
Yeah.
Or quadrilogy.
He's like, I want all of them.
Another race car movie, Talladega Nights.
We should have guessed. We should have gone down the NASCAR path for Keith.
Yeah.
And Back to the Future.
Almost guessed
I
it.
almost guessed that, thinking
That's
Gary
interesting.
might have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That
right,
would have been a good guess.
So now we're on Gary's list. Now I'm gonna say that my list wasn't gonna be very easy for you guys to get because there's probably a couple on here that you've never heard of or definitely fringe for you guys. But let's see, The Usual Suspects,
Oh, that's a good one.
Django Unchained,
Almost.
Oh.
I couldn't figure out which
Another good
Tarantino
one.
movie to pick, so I didn't pick any of them.
yeah, The Warriors.
Okay.
I don't know that one.
Considering all 3 of you are former Warriors, you should have just thrown that out there. But yeah, that's
Wow,
a
yeah.
1979 movie about a New York street gang. Classic.
Of course, a gang movie.
Of course. The Outlaw Josie Wales.
That came
Never
out
heard of that.
recently.
Classic Clint Eastwood. Rocky.
Oh, wow. Oh man, I
I
thought
love
you didn't
Rocky.
pick any major series ones.
Well, I guess that one was.
He didn't, except for the one that he
Except
did.
for the one I did. And then the one that I am shocked Jeremy didn't get immediately
Can I-
after his pick for Hunt for Red October. He wants to guess.
Is it L.A. Confidential?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
Although that was my first DVD ever. No, Gladiator.
It's on my list. I
Oh
almost
my-
said it.
Jeez,
So
Jeremy.
close.
Yes.
I was thinking
Jeremy,
about
what a
Gladiator
horrible
too.
son you are.
Well, when he said that might have been my next guess, except he said older movies. And when did Gladiator come out?
2000?
2000.
Yeah.
20 years old.
Yeah.
You said older movies, so I guessed Star Wars. That came out 40 years ago.
We should have guessed Outlaw Josie Wales, Rocky, or The Warriors, which were also.
I wasn't gonna guess any of those. I almost guessed Gladiator.
All right. For what it's worth, you got. I think you guys said The Wolf of Wall Street and Departed. The other 5 on my extra list was Troy, Avengers:
Okay.
Infinity War,
I knew there'd be one of them.
Vision Quest, which I don't expect you guys.
Oh
know.
no, I know that one. I hate that Tim Allen movie.
It's not a Tim Allen movie.
You're
am
thinking
I
of the
thinking-
Santa Claus.
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest is the Tim Allen movie.
That's what I'm thinking.
Vision
of.
Quest is Matthew Modine as a high school wrestler.
Oh yeah, okay. I've heard of that movie.
The Princess Bride
I considered that.
Okay.
and Stripes.
Stripes is
Okay.
on my list to guess as well.
See, I watched like the first 20 minutes of Stripes and couldn't get past how what's his name, Bill Murray, just like immediately threw a TV out of his window or something, and I was like, I can't buy this.
Oh, he threw a basketball out of his window.
That's what it is. Yeah, okay.
Okay. But anyway, that rounds out my list. So kudos to none of you. But Ben, you win.
My dad's a sucker for sports movies, and I should have went to it earlier. I should have went to that well earlier.
Hey, at least I didn't lose.
Yeah, we're all super thrilled about Bob not losing.
All right, Jeremy, let me pull up the list of movies and have you guess here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for taking the reins on this one. Let me know when you're ready with that list, Ben.
Yeah, I have it up right now. Ready when you are.
All right, how many movies are on it? What numbers am I guessing?
1 to 100.
Wow, you put in the extra work this week. I appreciate it. I'm going to go with number 2.
Ooh, it's Bright. Oh, you got Bright. Oh, man.
Damn, I'm legitimately not thrilled to watch this, partially because I've watched it before. So it's an extra bit of punishment for me, and you guys will have no idea what I'm talking about when I
You could
review it.
also lie. I feel like if this was Bob and he already watched it, he would not rewatch it.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, no way.
Well, unfortunately, I've forgotten everything about this movie because it's that bad. But I guess we've got that to look forward to next week.
And before we get into our recap of Ocean's 11, I did want to bring this up. This is a fun little thing, and I don't know if you guys have ever done it. Do you ever look up what celebrities, what movie actors or actresses share a birthday with you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
Okay,
No.
Ben, no.
No one shares a birthday with me.
That's not true. I looked up yours, and there's a couple. I wouldn't say A-list by any
No
means.
one worth
but,
noting.
Bob, anybody?
I got Dr. Dre and Walt Disney.
Well, okay. Ben?
For actors, I don't know any actors really. Besides maybe the girl from Game of Thrones. Forget her name at the moment, and also Weird Al Yankovic.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Nice.
That's a huge
And
one.
Drake, if you move your birthday a day.
One day, please. I've criticized my mother before.
That's
about
why
that.
I forgot your birthday this year, because I thought it was when Drake's was.
That's when I celebrate it, Bob. That's why.
And the reason I do this is because do you guys want to guess who I share a birthday with?
I actually know
Robert
the
De
answer.
Niro.
That's not correct. Ben, did you want to
I
hazard a
was
guess?
very confident.
Yeah, give us one hint. I would not know what to pull out of my
The hint
ass
is
right
you
now.
don't
Give us
need
a
a
hint.
hint. Just go with your gut.
Yeah.
Go with my gut.
I'll-
George Clooney.
Mark motherfucking Wahlberg.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Best person to share a birthday with.
That's
I didn't know
what.
if we were
That's
going
why I'm
Ocean's
bringing it up.
That's the best.
That's great.
So yes, every June 5th, me and Marky Mark, we share a birthday cake
In Boston, right? While you also
in
stop
Boston.
Oh my God, that's such a good one.
And you guys go to a Red Sox game every year. That's wild.
And we
That's
hold
incredible.
hands the whole time.
Speaking of birthdays, though, the movie we're reviewing is having a birthday pretty soon. Of course, I'm talking about Ocean's 11, released on December 7th, 2001. Written by Ted Griffin, directed by Steven Soderbergh, who also directed movies such as Logan Lucky, Magic Mike, Contagion, and the next 2 movies in this Ocean's trilogy. This movie stars everyone under the sun, including George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, Andy Garcia, Carl Reiner, Don Cheadle, Bernie Mac, Elliot Gould, and several more, and I'm sure we'll get through the cast.
Is Mark Wahlberg not in this movie? Maybe I missed a spot.
Well, I guess I'll get to it now. I got some cast trivia for you here. I'll just throw it in while we're talking about it. This is from IMDb, so take it with a grain of salt, but Matt Damon's part as Linus Caldwell was meant for Mark Wahlberg. He turned it down in order to star in Planet of the Apes, which was just brought up a little while ago.
Shout out to my dad. Maybe that's the one he picked.
They need to they need to do Ocean's 21 with Mark Wahlberg.
And it's just Mark Wahlberg 21 times.
Yeah. And 21 guns in his hands.
The other cast trivia, just while we're on it, apparently Luke and Owen Wilson were going to play the brothers, Virgil and Turk, who were Casey Affleck and the other guy.
Glad they didn't, because Casey Affleck, and I think that's James Caan's son. I always forget his son. But Scott Conn. But I love Casey Affleck, and like it makes me think of Good Will Hunting, where he's like bickering with Ben Affleck the whole time. I think he's hysterical as like that kind of character.
But just another inside trivia to that, Scott Caan's father was James Caan, who starred in The Godfather, and Virgil and Turk were actually a shout out to The Godfather because there is a character called Virgil the Turk Salazzo.
Oh wow, that's cool. Also starred in Elf.
Who?
Which one of them starred in Elf?
James Caan.
Oh yes, he did. His second most known role.
And then just the last bit of casting trivia. Apparently, Bruce Willis was originally cast as Danny Ocean, but had to pull out. And then, I don't know if you guys have seen this movie or any of the other 2 in this trilogy, but he makes a an appearance as himself in Ocean's 12. So, but yeah, let's just start with the usual question. For Ben, we'll start with you. Had you seen this movie before? And if not, what were you expecting going into it? What were your general impressions?
I have not seen this movie before. I don't know why I haven't. It's after watching it, I really like this movie. I like a good, well thought out like bank heist movie, just any robbery movie. I do like them. I don't know why I don't watch more of them. I know there's the classic Heat. I've never seen Heat. I feel like I want to watch that now after this one before I watch like Ocean's 12 and 13 even, but this movie was really good. When you were just saying that Bruce Willis was almost in this role, I'm glad it was George Clooney. It just feels more upscale because he's in it. I feel like it was like perfectly cast. Even with Matt Damon, he's more subtle than Mark Wahlberg. Everything about this movie just felt right, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad this was the movie we picked.
What about you, Bob?
Yeah, for me, I was about 95% sure that I had seen this movie before. I knew the entire plot. I knew what actors were in it. I remember certain scenes. But then when I rewatched it this morning, I was like, I don't fucking remember that. Like, I don't think I'd seen it before. I really thought I had. And when I was watching it, I was genuinely surprised by a lot of the moments. So, I don't know. It was really good. I definitely enjoyed it. I wouldn't call this like a perfect movie. It was very entertaining. It was a good watch. If I had to off the top of my head, I'd rank it, I'd give it like a 7.5/8-ish. Very good, enjoyable. I do want to watch Ocean's 12 and Ocean's 13 now. But yeah, pretty enjoyable, pretty solid movie.
So when we were discussing trying to figure out what movie to watch this week, I was trying to think of any movies that I may have had a memory of watching with Gary here. And one of the first
So was
ones,
this or Passion of the Christ?
Yeah. Well, apparently I've got mixed memories on that one there. But this is the first one that kept popping up for me, plus Netflix has been trying to shove this down my throat for the last month or whatever since it's been on there. And when I brought it up, apparently I had fonder memories of watching it with Gary than he had of watching it with me, because he had no memories of watching this movie together. I'll say that I know Bob, famous quote of saying he's seen Space Jam 300 times or whatever. I would not be surprised if I've seen this movie somewhere between 40 and 50 times.
Wow.
Really?
It might be like the top 3 movies I've seen the most in my life.
I feel like it's not on as much as I would think of. Maybe that's because I've never seen it, though. Is it on TV a lot?
I feel like it used to be. Maybe not so much anymore, but there's definitely a period of time where it was on. We own it on DVD since DVDs were made, I'm pretty sure. It was in like the first batch we got. Plus it's been on and off Netflix over the years, so yeah. And I imagine on like the average age of someone who watches Ocean's 11 for the first time, I gotta be skewing pretty low. Because I think one of the other reasons I love this movie so much is because it's my introduction to basically this entire cast of all these actors who are obviously, very famous, really good actors who are in a ton of other stuff. But I feel like this is like my touchstone for basically every actor in this ensemble. So we did rewatch it yesterday, and like I said, could have been number 45 for me, but I love this movie. I think it's damn near perfect, and I will watch it again in the next 6 months, I bet. What about you?
Yeah, my fondest memory of watching this with Jeremy was last night. But yeah, I've seen this movie multiple times on DVD, on Netflix, like you said, streaming, and it is the 3 of them. The trilogy does show up on your TBS and Paramounts more often than not. Bob, I'm going to give you a little advice: skip 12 and go right to 13 if you are actually going to watch these.
I looked up the reviews after because I was like, oh, that was really good. Like, let me see like what's considered the best one, because I knew there was multiple, and I saw that 12 wasn't really that high on the list. So
yeah,
that's what my question was going to be. Like, is it worth it to watch the next two?
Yeah, I mean,
this is the best one, right?
This is definitely the best one.
Okay.
I would certainly say, you know what, watch 12 just to cross it off your list,
Right.
and then watch 13 twice just to get the taste of 12 out of your mouth.
Okay. Okay.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little older than you guys, so I've actually seen the original. I'm not even sure you guys are aware that this is a remake.
Did not know that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, the original Ocean's 11 was a Rat Pack movie, and the part of Danny Ocean was played by Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I want to
Wow.
see that one.
The only characters to share a name with this remake, everybody else is different, but the plot is the same. In fact, it was a robbery of multiple casinos. In the original movie, it was 5. This one is 3. There's similarities, but this is ultimately a brand new remake. But a very good movie. Not the first, as Jeremy was saying, not the first one I've seen of any one of these casts. But I think, as Bob was saying, I think it was perfectly cast. I think Luke and Owen Wilson, I think they would have been fun as Virgil and Turk, because they're pretty goofy, just like Scott Conn and Casey Affleck are. But I'm not saying that they did a bad job. So it was a very good movie, a great watch, an easy watch. I've seen it so many times, you can just plop it on and kind of veg out a little bit, and pick it up and just enjoy it.
Can I go with a random casting real quick? Like just a random spot that would have been a little better. Maybe anyone else here can correct me, but I didn't know either of those boxers. Could we have gotten like Mike Tyson and someone else just in that role just for the second?
Lennox
I
Lewis
think
is
were those just two
famous.
random people?
Well, no, I mean those were the 2 top boxers at the time the movie was made. That was the heavyweight champion of the world and the number 1 contender. Now the sad thing is those 2 never fought in real life.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, you put pop culture in a movie and it's got a shelf life of a day and a half. So unfortunately, there's nobody without, unless you're putting Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali fighting each other, you can't throw,
That's true. That's what I didn't know. I didn't know if they chose boxers at the time or if it was like just a random people. But I guess I respect it more that at the time they were the top 2 boxers in the world.
Right.
That's what makes it cool, I think. My favorite my favorite part of this movie, I think, is George Clooney as Danny Ocean, because I don't think I've seen many George Clooney movies, if I'm being honest. And if I've seen a movie with George Clooney in it, he definitely wasn't the lead. This is probably the first movie that I've watched, and it's as sad as it is to say, I think this is the first George Clooney movie that I've watched where he has been the lead actor. And it was like weird. It was like interesting. I was like, oh man, who's this guy? Like he's fucking cool. Like, I don't know. I'm big on George Clooney now.
Have you not seen 3 Kings?
No.
Because his
really
co-star is Mark Wahlberg.
Well, hold on. George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg in the movie? I might have to look at that.
I'm with Bob on this one, though. Like, I haven't seen many George Clooney movies. I think the only one I've seen where he's actually the lead character is like Up in the Air, which is some stupid-ass movie. But, yeah, when you watch this movie, you're like, okay, I get why he's like, for like 10 years there, he was like the most attractive man in the world, because I'm like, I want to be this guy's friend.
Yeah. People are like, name an actor. People are like, oh, George Clooney. Like, he's like the first name out of your mouth. But, like, as famous as he is and as well known as he is, I was like, I haven't really seen a lead role by George Clooney before. I've seen him as a supporting actor or cameos or whatnot, but like, I need to look into him some more, because I enjoyed every second that he was on my screen.
I also love his introduction, and this can be said about basically everyone in his crew, because they do have to introduce 11 plus side characters in this movie, and I feel like every introduction they give when they're doing kind of the montage of getting the whole gang together, the way they introduce each character is like surgically precise, and the way the movie starts with his interview for parole and the way he's answering these parole questions as like a sarcastic asshole just sets the tone for him for the entire movie. And I think this has some of like the best underrated comedy. Like, I would almost call this a comedy movie for me personally.
I totally agree.
There's, for the 50 times I've seen it, there's parts that make me laugh every single time. And one of them is right at the beginning when he talks about how his wife left him and they ask if he'll fall into self-destructive habits again. He's like, I don't think she'll leave me again just for kicks. And I'm just like, okay, I know who this guy is, and I want to watch him rob 3 casinos.
That's how I felt too, just because when you mentioned that Bruce Willis would have been almost Danny Ocean, I just feel like this movie's not the same then. Like, George Clooney's so smooth, and it feels like he has like the perfect role, and he's like that sarcastic person at the beginning, and you just like, that's like what made me excited for the movie. Sometimes there's the opening scenes where you're like, come on, let's just get to the movie, but I could watch just George Clooney just like smooth talking for like an hour and a half.
And then I also just his relationship with Brad Pitt, I think, is awesome, and their kind of like unique language they share, which I guess is implied to be like a thieves' language, the way they discuss like the different tactics they're going to use, and they have all these like code names for them. Or in other scenes where Danny will be talking to Rusty and having a full conversation where Rusty doesn't say a word. He's just like asleep on the bar counter, and Danny Ocean's just having a full conversation with him, and they keep moving forward. I don't know. Everything about their friendship is perfect, in my opinion.
Or even in that one scene where Basher comes in and says they nosed up the couplet in his horrible Cockney accent, but George Clooney says, or Danny says to Rusty, "Do you think we can?" And right away, Rusty knew exactly what he was talking about and said, "By tomorrow." It's like Jeremy said, they just have this bond that they don't even have to finish each other's sentences because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's implied that they've done this, multiple times. They're your top tier criminals, and that's probably one of the more interesting parts of the movie is their relationship, because it is an interesting bond that the two share, and I totally agree. Every time those two are like on screen together and interacting, it's cool.
Before we get too far from the general casting stuff, did you guys pick out any of the I don't even know what they consider them in the movie, like the C-tier, C-list actors that Rusty's playing cards with at the beginning?
Yeah, that was great. That guy was from the Mighty Ducks, Joshua and Topher Grace. Obviously, I like that they were using the real names.
It was weird that Topher Grace was Topher.
Well, they were all playing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. They were
My guy from the Mighty Ducks was one of them.
Yeah.
Josh? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Josh, yeah. In fact, was it 5 of them at the time were starring in their own TV shows. So they all had some kind of relevance. I wouldn't say A-list by any means, but...
but Topher Grace in the early 2000s,
he was
kind of famous.
70s show.
Yeah, that's probably the most famous he's ever been.
Well, which is why he had the biggest speaking part.
Right.
And the other 4 were kind of a side note, but they were all, like I said, starring in different TV shows at the time.
I love stupid shit like that in movies, though, where they can just add something that people can latch onto, like how we are 20 years later.
Think about this, though. Think about that. When you're watching that, all those people in that scene were like popular enough stars at the time. Same thing with the boxing. Those are the 2 biggest, heavyweights of the era fighting. Like, can you imagine watching this movie what does it come out, 2001 or 2000?
2001.
Imagine being in a theater in 2001, how much better this would be, just because there's a lot of cultural relevance with like those side actors, with the fighting, I wonder if there's more stuff that we might have missed because, we're watching it in 2020, but like, I don't know, it's kind of cool that there's little bits of cultural relevance for the time period. But I didn't know either of those. I mean, I just thought, I'm so stupid when they're like, oh, Topher Grace is playing a guy named Topher. I didn't pick up on that.
What a coincidence.
I did
the first thing I thought
but...
was the Joshua. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that guy's name is Josh in real life. And then they said Topher. I'm like, oh, they're all playing themselves. Okay.
Yeah, it makes complete sense now. But when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, that's weird.
And a couple other things in the casting based on the boxing match. If you look in the audience, you have who the Tiger guys, Siegfried and Roy, are 2 people that are in the audience, as well as an actor by the name of Frank Silva and an actress by the name of Angie Dickinson. Those 2 were actually in the original Ocean's 11. I think they might be the last 2 alive at the time of the film that were
quality commentary. This is the best guest we've ever had.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Is there a note of surprise in your voice?
Wasn't Wayne Newton? Was Wayne Newton?
Wayne Newton also was in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Siegfried and Roy. Yeah, Siegfried and Roy and Wayne Newton were your Las Vegas staples. That's why they were in the audience. Frank Silva and Angie Dickinson were a shout out to the original Ocean's 11.
There's also something I hadn't even caught in my first 44 viewings of this. There's a MCU reference when the crazy guy is yelling out to Saul, who's playing Lyman Zerga at the time, and he's yelling, "Saul, it's me, Bucky Buchanan," a.k.a. the Winter Soldier.
Wow, I didn't. That's interesting.
this is pre-MCU, so not really an MCU shout out, but it is
But
a Marvel shout out.
It's a Marvel because from the comic books.
Why did Don Cheadle have to have that accent? He just not play Don like the normal American accent?
If you read some of the trivia about this, he actually went to England to try to learn it, and after the fact admitted that he was terrible at it.
Because he was.
He was. And he and actually in the next two movies he wanted to lose it and they wouldn't let him. Just for continuity.
This was actually my introduction to an English accent, so I thought this was what all English people sounded like, and now everyone else sounds fake to me.
You're not wrong.
Any standout moments? I know we've mentioned a couple already, but are there any favorite moments that blew you away while you were watching it? Or I'll ask you two, since it's your first time. Were you shocked or confused at all with the kind of twist ending once they finally reveal what really happened? That's kind of Steven Soderbergh's MO when it comes to directing movies, is to lead you one way and then show you what really happened.
It didn't really throw me too much for a loop. I don't know. These guys were portrayed as like very smart and they knew what they were doing. So like, I mean, when it actually happened, I was like, oh shit, didn't see that coming. But then after, right away, I was just like, okay, well, of course, like that makes sense. They're very smart. They would do something like this. Like, so like at first it kind of got me, but then I was like, no, that's kind of like on par with the way the characters are being portrayed. Like, yeah, they would be smart enough to do something like that would deceive everybody, including us, the audience that are watching. But I don't know, standout moments. I don't really have any specific standout moments. I just really enjoyed that entire cast. I really enjoyed the movie, start to finish. I mean, you can't go 20 minutes watching this movie without seeing a scene that you really like. So I don't know. I think the whole movie is good. Not perfect. It's not gonna make my top 10, but it was a great watch. And like I said earlier, I just want to watch all the other Ocean's movies now.
I thought one of the scenes I liked was when Danny Ocean went to visit Linus Caldwell, watches him on the subway pickpocketing the guy, and then he pickpockets Linus. And then, of course, takes the wallet and replaces it with his business card. I just thought that was pretty cool. Here's a thief robbing a thief who robbed some guy.
No, yeah, I agree with you. That was one of the cooler scenes because it's just like a little gimmick in the movie where it's showing them showing off basically. And I love a good like random pickpocket scene. And then to have back to back, come on, that's great. My thing was like, this for me, the movie standout scenes is more. It's tough because it feels like it's a lot of just planning, and I love like planning scenes, and you don't really know what's coming. The thing that stuck out to me, and I want to ask you guys this. I don't know if this is too rude or whatever. Is Julia Roberts attractive enough to be like this smoke show in the movie?
No,
because George Clooney's like in love with her, and like Matt Damon's like, oh yeah, she's looking good, and like Brad Pitt's then like, yeah, she looked good, and I'm like, did she though? Is Julia Roberts like that attractive? Like she's a great actress, like great, wonderful actress, but like I don't know who I would have picked in their role, and I know Bob's already on my side, but I'm curious, Mr. Baumann, like what you think about that, like as like because she was a huge movie star when this came out, obviously.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't kick her out of bed for eating crackers. Okay. That being said, she's not unattractive by any means, but yeah, I mean, the smoke show that she is made out to be, probably not so much. I mean, look around the COT and find somebody better, but
yeah. The dialogue though, the way the dialogue is like, oh yeah, this is a piece of ass.
I was ready. I was ready to see who came walking down those stairs in that red dress.
I'm just like, Julia Roberts. I was like, wait, what? Maybe not for me, but like, Ben, I'm happy you brought it up because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, we could do better.
She went a little heavy on the Botox in the lips too for this movie, I think.
Yeah.
I do think she has one of my favorite lines, though, or one of my favorite interactions when Danny Ocean goes and visits her in the restaurant, and they're kind of catching up after he got out of jail. And I think she's got a lot of great lines in this whole back and forth, but also when he starts going, now I always confuse Monet and Manet. And then he says something about each of them, and she just deadpan just goes, yeah, and they both paint occasionally. Like that whole back and forth, I just love the writing in that scene.
Yeah, and if we're talking about like scenes too, or just like suspense, because there's some suspense in this movie. It's not like, because in the end, you know they're gonna get away with it more. So maybe because I know there's an Ocean's 12 and 13, but my suspense, like I like the Yen. What's his name? Is it the Amazing Yen? And he like has to get out of there, and like the thing he pushes off, that I don't even know what you would call it, but it almost touches the laser.
The briefcase.
Like that was like the most suspenseful part of it, I feel like. But there's never really a part in this movie where I'm like, they're not going to get away with it. Even when, because most movies, when you know what's going to happen, you at least at some point think, oh, they're going to get caught. But I never thought they were not going to get caught here.
You mean you weren't nervous when those two big bald guys with goatees asked the third big bald guy with a goatee to come beat up Danny Ocean?
That was, I guess, the biggest twist to me, was like him beating the shit out of him and then not beating the shit out of him.
I always find it funny that those two are apparently incapable of beating him up, so they call a third
I know,
guy
I was
in.
confused by that, yeah.
I need what happened with the guy that was supposed to beat him up, that when they got into the room, he's just like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? Like, we're buddies. We send Christmas cards to each other. Like, I needed a scene to explain why those guys knew each other.
Well, Danny knew everybody. Danny knew everybody in Vegas, and he did say that he had to give this guy a couple million not to really beat the shit out of him. My question in this whole scene was that they were supposedly in that room by themselves for, God, a good half hour, 45 minutes. I think he should have looked a little worse.
I was thinking the same thing. George Clooney should have been like, beat the shit out of him. Like,
yeah, shouldn't he be dead?
Unable to talk at least.
At first, at the very least, he would have a bruised eye. But you would think he would have punched him in the face a little more. He should have looked worse than he did.
I'll give you that criticism. You're right. This is only a 9.5 out of 10. I will mention just my other, I think, favorite moment in this movie is at the very end when Rusty goes to pick up Danny from his 3 to 6 month stint for breaking parole. And he has Tess in the back seat, and they get in, and she says, we need to get Rusty a girl. And he goes, I think there's a women's prison down the road. That line forever will make me laugh.
That is a good line. And then are those guys just following her, or they're following, just trying to figure out where this money is because they know George Clooney had something to do with it?
Correct.
Andy
I assume
Garcia,
we find out.
Yeah, he
Ocean's
knows
12.
that they're in on it, and it does come back in Ocean's 12. He actually is in both of the next two movies. So
Andy Garcia, or
yes, yeah. Well, they
or
all
George
are.
Clooney? Is George Clooney in it?
Yes, he still
Oh,
is.
okay.
Is Matt Damon in all of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, Mark Wahlberg's in Ocean's 13.
And by the way, the two goateed bodyguards are former professional wrestlers.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Which
Bob, you
makes a
should have
lot of
known
sense.
that.
I should have known them. I don't know them, though.
All right, any other final thoughts on Ocean's 11? Obviously, we all know mine. Great movie. Everyone should watch it and then watch it again. Honestly, talking about it now, I could watch it again today.
I would just like to say it's a quality movie. It's a good watch. It's good quality movie. If you haven't seen it, if you're someone like me that thought you saw it, you might want to double check and go watch the movie because it's good. Yeah, if you're somebody that has not seen this movie, I could recommend it, and you're gonna enjoy yourself. It's a good movie.
Yeah, my thinking off it is great heist movie, and it makes me want to go watch more heist movies. Not necessarily 12 and 13, now that apparently 12 is not as good as I would have previously thought. I'll eventually get around to it. I think both of them are on Netflix, so I'll probably watch both of them. But yeah, it makes me want to go watch Heat, and then maybe Den of Thieves, I think, is also on Netflix. It makes me want to go watch more heist movies.
Well, gun to my head, I think this is a movie that anybody who is running a movies-based podcast should have already seen. So,
we don't claim to be a good movie podcast, but we are a movie podcast.
but really, definitely a watcher. You can't take it too seriously. They don't take themselves seriously, which I think makes for a great movie.
All right. Thank you, boys, for being here. Mr. Baumann, thank you for joining us from the other side of the pod.
Thank you for having me.
Call him sir.
All right, thank you all for listening, and remember, there's always someone watching in my casino. We'll see you next week.